Good morning,
Great,
everybody.
great, Patricia. She's our keynote speaker. She will give you 10-minute presentation about the subject. And after that, I will go with Paul Blankers. How are you, Paul?
I'm very good this morning. Thank you, Frederick.
Great, Paul. And after that, Clémentine Langlois. How are you, Clémentine?
Very good, Frederick. And good morning, everyone.
Great. She will go. Both of them will go for a 20-minute presentation about also the question, and after that we have the question from the public. Okay, let me now share with you the video of Digital Transformation Alliance. Great. So this is the video of Digital Transformation Alliance. Like I said, now I will present to you EUTech. So as you can see, EUTech has three big poles: regional alliances, tech alliances, and impact alliances. As you can see, we have China, Africa, DACH Alliance, America. You can also see tech alliances, IoT, mobility, environment, smart cities, and impact alliances. You can see finance, SDGs. So all these alliances are run by coordinators that try to create opportunities for people that join us, for people that work with us, and we try to make things happen, to have a better and sustainable environment. As you can see, as you know, because some of you, I see names on the public, has already take part of our webinars. We have more than 200 webinars per year with 20 expos, and we have more than 50,000 registrants. And as you can see, we choose our topic very wisely. A topic that can really impact and also make us more understand the challenge that the world are facing, which is very important. So our topic is really choose in the way that we can more understand what we are facing right now. We also have a business opportunity meeting. After this event, I will send to all of you participants the opportunity to get into the business opportunity meeting, so you can interact with the speakers, but also you can come and present the project you having, so we can share ideas, and also why not collaborate in the long term. We also have EU project and funding. I don't know if you guys know about EU tenders and grants. So we are working, we have a department that work on EU tenders and grants, which is very good because you can write a proposal. Also, you can run for grants that the European Union is providing. We also have the EU Tech ecosystem. As you can see, there is inside programs and tech forum. We have the white papers, position papers. I just finished to write the position papers with the help of my advocates this last week. So the white papers is the 10 recommendation that we send to enterprise, because we have all these webinars going on, so it's very important for us that something comes up from that. So we write the white papers, 10 recommendations based on our webinars and discussion. That goes to the enterprise. We also have the position papers. There is 3 recommendations that we take from the 10 that we send to all the governments in Europe to also impact. We also have the vision for Europe that's released every trimester, and we also have the newsletter. Now you register for this event, so you will receive the newsletters. We also have the SDGs Award, and we have the Climate Action Partnership. We are very active on social media. As you can see, we also have virtual booths. We will have now in the year 2023 some physical event already started. We host different delegation already at my office here in Bad Wiessee, in Germany, because we are based in Germany. And yes, so we also have the Tech Forum matchmaking tool where you can, if you are looking for potential partners, we have all the tools dedicated to that, so you can find some partners there, which is very interesting. And I will work very closely with you to make it happen. So if you guys want to deal with us, of course, you have the public chat, so you can reach out to me anytime. But you also have the LinkedIn accounts, EUTech Chamber. We also have the info.eutech.org as a mail, so feel free to reach out to me anytime. So this is it for EUTech. Now I will present to you all the speakers. Let me go back to the first slide. I think it's better so we can have a view on what will happen today. So I will now present our panelists today. So I will start with you, the biography of Patricia Monte. So Patricia Monte is a health and government technology entrepreneur. She has 17 years combined of experience in and with corporate organizations, and her current companies run consulting activities as well as a set of 5 innovative solutions for universal access to care across the globe. She's a driven and unapologetic achiever. She uses words and entrepreneurship to emphasize, inspire, and stimulate change on an individual or societal level. So it's very good to have you, Patricia. So now we go with Paul. Paul Blankers is a 6 years surgical intensive care at TCU and 7 months as an anesthetist nurse in the OR. 14 years of various function and as RN at various types of hospital wards and experience in rehabilitation center and home care for 10 years. Clinical consultant, service project manager, Philips Passion Monitoring IT for 2 years, professional services consultant for Philips, develop, validate, test in Scrum team and bringing software-based solution to the market to optimize the use of medical imaging equipment. He is a current founder, nurse informatics, clinical expert, healthcare solution in Eindhoven, straighten and user with their clinical workflows, improving together what's already there, innovate and using healthcare technology when it's adding proven value, leading the team by example and in a coaching way. Good to have you, Paul. Now I'm going to Clémentine Langlois. She is a digital health program director for 20 years of experience managing large digital health innovation and transformation program, president and CEO of Skepsos, a France-based international e-health consulting company, member of the French government e-health ecosystem driver, Paris Santé Campus, and leader of e-health. Clémentine has been a proactive leader and the core of the transformation and evolution of digital health in France and internationally to the 20th century. So we have a great speaker today. So now we will go with Patricia. Patricia, our keynote speaker. I will have your back, Patricia, on your presentation. So when you need to change slide, you just say, Frederick, I need to change slide. You need to change slide, or you can say, Frederick, you can change slide. We go by that way. Let's start with you, Patricia. Let me put your slide first of all, and we can go. So yes, good. Now you can see it now.
It's coming. So good morning, everybody, while the presentation is coming. What a pleasure to start 2023 with the EU Tech audience, and together with you, Clementine and Paul, amazing and very thankful to share a panel with you. And I hope we will enlighten you during the 1 hour. I mean, exciting because we're talking about digital transformation, and not just any digital transformation when it comes to healthcare, because I'm sure throughout the hour, we will realize that everything will boil down to healthcare at the end of the day. If you can go to the next slide, we'll talk about the agenda. So today during my 10 minutes presentation, I'm gonna try to focus on why we need a transformation. I'm gonna talk about the evolution. I'm sure Clementine will strengthen more about that since she's seen that a bit more than me. And we will talk about the problem at global level. I have the luxury to also be part of the WHO board of the UHC 2030, and there I can see firsthand what's happening between the different countries when it comes to universal health coverage. So I'm gonna try to enlighten you around that topic, and later we're gonna go about what's missing for us to make the cross towards 2030, which is the first timeline and deadline and milestone at the global level we've set. Last and not least, we're gonna talk about what private sector does and can do, and I'm sure the other panelists will strengthen around it, what they are doing at their level, and I will share with you what we do at Medex, especially with healthcare, in order to help close the gap of the digital transformation in healthcare. Moving to me, the next slide, Frederick. I mean, a lot has been said. If you can go to the next slide, a lot has already been said about me. I love using words. I've been an entrepreneur already for 8-9 years, starting a new company now in Europe with a focus in Europe. Access to healthcare is a privilege. And why is it a privilege? I'm going to give you a couple of facts. Global, in 2019, we gathered through that WHO initiative of the UHC 2030, we gathered global leaders to come and sign together with us a mandate that they will do all they can in order to give access to care to all by 2030. And during that event, there is a strong statement that's made. World economy around 86 to 90,000 billion dollar globally, but we all know that 5 to 10% of that size of the economy is allocated to healthcare. Do you realize that after a lot of calculation and evaluation, they also came to the conclusion $200 billion will be missing in order to really cross the chasm in giving access to care for all by 2030. Think about it. So the current amount we have available and allocated to healthcare, which is already doing some things, will not help us in making sure everybody can get access to that. How do we close the gap? Like I mentioned, private sector does its part, but the public sector will need to do its part. NGOs need to do its part. I'm a strong believer that healthcare is one of those industries where there are so many voices that need to be heard, that need to come together, and it creates a lot of waste in our processes. I'm a strong believer as well that around 20% of the current processes, it's all waste. So if we cut that 20%, it's money we can reallocate in innovation, in investing, and in going into what we're talking about today, which is digital transformation in healthcare. Let's go to the next slide, Frederick. So we cannot go into such a heavy topic without really looking backward. A lot of people don't realize that it's only around the 18,000 that we really got into slowly moving into modern healthcare, because that's also when education in healthcare in universities started popping up across, of course, the developed world. Mind that I'm going to touch and the developing world during this presentation. I have the luxury to work with both parts of the spectrum. So the real modern medicine kicks in during that period. But before that, it was a lot of domestic medicine that was done by families, by women, and we still see a lot of developing countries are still at this level. But globally, let's say that's when modern medicine was kicked. Then a lot of things happen bottom up from a healthcare point of view up until World War II. After World War II, with the WHO introduction, global view of what's happening, we start seeing global healthcare and top-down initiatives happening. You can imagine that we need both bottom and top-down when it comes to healthcare. Only having one way will not work, only having the top will not work anymore. And I think today, part of the big challenge today is they are not managing to come together in a very effective way. And I hope we as private sector will play a critical role in being that connecting role. Now, after the World War II, so beyond the global health, the top-down initiatives that were taking place, that's also when the technology of the third industrial revolution and the fourth industrial revolution was starting to kick in. So you got to realize that technology was slowly getting in, data in its form from the past was also in place. But we saw technology picking up very strongly in the 2000s. And that's what we're experiencing today. Data is around, people are much more educated, patients have Google in order to search things. Today we have ChatGPT. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. That will change the game as well. And we have no other choice than transforming ourselves in healthcare. The digital transformation is something I've had the luxury to experience since the beginning of the 2000s, because I was working for Philips already then. And it's interesting that IT, e-commerce, fintech picked up the ball very fast. Healthcare has just started. We're still at the infancy level. That's my strong belief. So a lot of work to be done there. If we go to the next slide, we can't go after evolution. Yeah, we can go forward with evolution without talking about the actual problem. Here you see the picture you see there, it's actually an actual picture coming from the WHO, where they did in-depth analysis at global level of what are the critical troubles we have in providing access to care to all. And 5 key topics tends to pop. That's human capital, financial capital, policy, best case scenario, real-time policies change, but policy overall, infrastructure. There are parts of the world where infrastructure is better, and there are other parts where it needs to be improved. And the last part is about data and information. I strongly believe those are the 2 key topics we're going to touch during this discussion, but we shouldn't forget that there are other topics that need to be addressed to make sure that this transformation is fully effective. Next slide, Frederick. So an attempt to show you that, yes, there are 5 key topics that are problematic in the digital transformation of the health sector, but it's important to realize that depending on where you sit across the globe, you have a limited version or a broader version. As you can see on this slide, the developing countries tend to have all 5 topics being topics that need to be addressed, all 5. While in the developed world, human capital, data, and information are the key topics to be dealt with. You will also notice that I did make a point to show that the US also still faces financing, not because they don't have a big amount of money in their budget, but because the way the model is built in the US, it doesn't cover everybody, and unfortunately, it leaves some people behind if you don't have a job. While in Europe, it's been organized in such a way that if you don't have a job, if you belong to the bottom of the pyramid, you still can get access to care to a certain level. Next slide. Yeah, so high topic, unfortunately, not very visible. The picture, what you can see here is the medical professional, which is a bit the story I want to share with this picture, has a spectrum of tools nowadays, often driven by innovation, technology, and digitalization, because we have to remember it's not only about the digitalization, it's about innovating, and that innovation can go in the form of CRISPR technology that we all know about, of the DNA and genomics elements, not always linked to the data, clinical trials that will be organized in a different way, not always linked to data, but innovation will play a big role, digitalization will play a big role, and technology will play a big role. Without those 3 components, there is no gap that can be closed. That's a strong belief I have, because using actual human resources, using the current financing level we have, as I highlighted with the gap that has been estimated, we are not going to get there. So we need to find a way to close the gap with those three key topics. Next slide, Frederick. Yeah, and I was actually already highlighting it. Now, there are lots of topics popping up because of advancement of both technology, of the capabilities of us as human beings around personalized care, precision medicine, deep genomics, IoT, IoE, big data, predictive analytics, chatbots, and virtual assistants. Those are all elements that can, or tools that we can use in order to close that gap. But which one do we start with in order to make sure that by the milestone of 2030, we would have provided access to care for all? What is the right tool to use as an entry point? Because with the organization I'm running, and we've done a lot of government technology projects, we find out by doing case studies that a lot of countries sometimes start from the wrong angle. And imagine, then they realize 2-3 years down the road, wrong approach, wrong timing, and they're often having programs. They need to start all over again. So we got to realize the problem is there, the resources are partly available, technology and innovation can close the gap, but if we use the wrong element to help close the gap, we're also going to have it wrongly done. And along the way, we're just going to have to stop and rethink and go back on the drawing board. If we go to the next slide, Frederick. Yeah, so we've seen COVID happening. What the people didn't realize is COVID was an amazing case of what universal health coverage was all about. Think about it. There was no boundary on, oh, if you come from this country, you had COVID as a disease. There was a model in place for everybody, and everybody could get access, including the US. So it was an eye-opener for many organizations in the healthcare sector. How do we reproduce with this model? Whether it's super expensive or not, it at least showed that we are able to mobilize the right resources around a specific topic in making sure everybody gets that access at the same level. Now, of course, during the operationalization, there are always deviations on how things happen, but at the policy level, at the implementation level, we saw an equity in the way we were pushing things towards our population because of urgency, because of emergency. How do we reproduce this at the global health level, at nationwide level? Maybe start with a pilot from a specific disease as well, and slowly move it into other areas. Next slide. Yeah. And last, almost finishing now, about us. I've already mentioned in the developing country, we do a lot of projects with government because we strongly believe that deep transformation in greenfield countries, which many emerging countries are still when it comes to healthcare, will happen through policy, through government. But in the developed world, we do a lot of consulting because here it's a lot around interoperability, implementing the right tools and using the right mean. So one of the tool or one of the technology we are working on is an AI solution to close the gap of limited resources of medical professionals. We see the numbers of GP going down. A lot of them don't want to go to the office anymore because of the pressure we've all felt during COVID. And this is one tool solving one specific element, which is really about virtual assistant of the GP together with the patient, and helping them with the administration work. And we hope that through our technology, which we are starting to implement in Eindhoven, in the Netherlands, that we are already going to alleviate part of the burden that GPs and the primary care sector faces. Next slide, and I think almost the last one. Yeah, so why choose us? I've already mentioned them. Global consulting, we have best practices that we can share with some of you if interested, and more than happy to connect with anyone in specific countries for piloting our GP AI GP solution. Next slide. Yeah. So last and not least, there's an increasing civic patient organization. We have to be aware that the world has changed. People are becoming more educated. Women need to get out of the home. So the domestic healthcare is not applicable anymore. There is Google, there's ChatGPT. So the patient comes within the office of the doctor, better equipped, whether it's uncomfortable or not. It's a reality of today's world. And I'm sure Clementine and Paul will strengthen on some of those elements, what they're doing, what is being done on the ground. There's so much work to be done, to be honest with you guys. One single person will not make it. One single company will not make it. One corporate organization will not make it. We need small organization. We need civil society organization, all of us coming together to at global level make the change, because we've seen it with COVID. The moment one person in a specific country has a disease and crosses the border, because the border have been broken across the globe, an epidemic starts or a pandemic starts. So having said that, I would say, we need to do something all together. And thank you, Frederick. Thank you to the listeners. I will be available as well to answer any questions later and also in the chat.
Thank you, Patricia, for this great presentation. See if I can. There is a lot of has been said, but I choose some of to say that we need to invest in infrastructure. This is very important. We also have to make the healthcare more fair with the poor people. Also need to have access to care, and also to think about at the global health level. As you mentioned about the COVID, I see that it's very important that we as world think about the policy to make healthcare fair for everyone. So good, thank you for this amazing presentation, Patricia, again. Now I will go to our second panelist today, Mr. Paul Blankers. The floor is yours. Okay, Paul, do you want me to put your two slides now? How
yes,
you want
please.
to work, Paul?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's go for that. So,
because
just before you go, Paul, I have a question, because it's very important. Because I see that in the public there is a lot of questions, but I have one question for you, Paul. So the question is, Paul, what's more important to you following a plane or air responding to change? You can go, Paul. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. I will repeat the question. What is more important to you, following a plan or responding to change? Can you go please to the second slide of me?
Okay, second slide already. Okay.
Yeah, because
okay.
I want to talk in regard of this question about Agile, and because of the time, I'm not going into the history of Agile that was begun 2000 with the Agile Manifesto. But what I want to talk about Agile is also in conjecture to the talk of Patricia, is about reduce waste. And I think that when you look at Agile and Agile development and Agile mindset, that Agile can reduce waste. So for me, it is more about responding to change than following a plan. Like especially today, it is a highly changeable, volatile world, also in healthcare. So it makes no sense that you have made plans for the coming 3 years and you are not changing the plan. So it's rather adapting to the customer need today and also tomorrow. Can you please go back the slide?
Okay, yes, I'm going back to the other slide.
Because I want to talk about design thinking. So like you told the audience in the beginning, I used to be a nurse. And when I was a nurse, I was trained to, especially on the intensive care, when there was a problem, we were already with the patient. And even before the problem occurred, because we were watching the patient closely, and we already solved the problem. But when you really want to step out of all of this, and you need to look into what's the issue of the patient, what is the issue of the doctor, what is the issue of the end user. So for implementing solutions, it makes no sense that a startup says, I think the issue is that they need more nurses, so I'm going to make a robot. Yeah, that's nice, but how are you going to develop the robot for the special needs for this specific group? You need to go to talk with the end user. You need to see how the patients are in their need. Therefore, I'm really fond of design thinking, and to reduce the waste. Take time for the first one. Empathize, meaning really understand what healthcare, the work floor, wherever it is, what it's about. Like for instance, in Africa, it makes no sense in having big machines. So the development of a portable echo is wonderful because they can have with outpatient. You can go to the rural area and you can consult with the doctor in, for instance, Nairobi. So that makes sense. And then define. You are using your insights, and your insights you have collected, for instance, with interviews, but also with shadowing. That means that you are not talking, you're only observing. So you're working with them, not only one shift, but various shifts, so that you really see what's happening. Like for instance, when I walked a few years back into a hospital, I saw the doors hanging in the magnets. So they were open, and when there was a fire, the magnet will loosen the doors and they will close. But what was happening, there was a patient bed, an empty bed in front of this door. So I imagined when there was a fire, the door couldn't close. That kind of things. And that is inherent behavior. And you can write it down, you can have all kinds of documents, and you can be certified, but it is in the people's behavior. So shadowing, really important. And then you are going to form it. And when you've done that, like for instance with an emergency room, with a specific place, had to put some medical devices in, you're going to prototype, meaning you're going to show how the layout of this emergency department room is really in real life, so that you know where the footpath is. So you're going to prototype, and you're going to refine it, and you're going to test it. And in this picture, it should be a circle. So when you've done this, you go back to the beginning. And because it is not only in the developing stage, it's also in the implementing and in the stage where the people are using it. Because transformation is really about not only implementing in a proper way, but also using it in a proper way. It makes no sense to have multi-million investments and not being there after 6 months, after a year, after 1.5 years, because perhaps you need to tweak it a little bit, not only the solution, but also the behavior of people. So there must be an update in their teaching, because there's a lot of people changing, stuff like that. Can you go to my other slide? And that is agile, and this is a piece of what agile is, and is a bit the essence. And agile, for me, it's a mindset, meaning that you are aware of your own behavior and the behavior in your company, and you really want to be sharp, meaning process and tools are important, but the people, the individuals are much more important than the interaction. That doesn't mean that you must get rid of process and tools, but when you are putting process and tools on top, it can be heavy. And I've seen it a little bit in the companies I've been working. Sometimes it was too heavy. And of course, when you are in the medical device business, you need your QMS system, sure. But in essence, it's about individuals and interactions. And working software, when you look at comprehensive documentation, that's nice. But when the software is not behaving in a proper way, it makes no sense. And it's the same with the contract negotiation. You can have a contract of 125 pages because you want to, for every opportunity, but it is also about trust. So it's better to have a really good relationship with your customer than have a big contract and a lot of discussions. And like I said, when I started responding to change, following a plan. A plan is nice. You must have a kind of a board with a kind of a star where you want to go to, but in essence, it's about responding to change. That's for me the most important things I want to talk about, because the digital space and also in healthcare is so wide a subject. But for me, those two are really important. And of course, it's about people. It's the people who are working, and we want to have to make them happy, that they can excel in their work, and they do not want to get bothered by not working solutions. They must be assisted, and not using a lot of check boxes, but around their working rounds, they must be supported. So for me, that's what I want to give the audience, Frederic.
Thank you, Paul, for this amazing presentation. We understand more all the process that need to be made. I will go now with our last panelist today, not but not least. I will go with you, Clémentine. So let me share with you this one. But I have a question for you, Clémentine, before you start your presentation. What are your recommendations for digital solution development? The floor is yours.
It's a huge question, and my previous colleagues gave a lot of very interesting insights. For me, there's three main things. It's first of all to really work within a holistic approach. I think Yao within the chat push this kind of idea. With Capsos, we strongly believe on a one digital health approach. It means that all the ecosystem from the very beginning, within an agile, like Paul said, a very agile way of working, we can design the solution, and always thinking about the patient interest. So for me, the main things, it's about something very critical, because it's important to produce a solution, a digital solution or the digital product to face patient needs. But it's also very important to think about from the very beginning about market access solution, because we have a very an ecosystem very with very opposable needs. I mean, laboratories, pharmacists, health provider, wholesalers, and everyone within the supply chain, the value chain of healthcare within the world are not always working all together within the same way. And one digital health needs to put all these people, all these objectives within one solution. So market access is one of my strong recommendation. Work on that from the very beginning. It's not. It's very interesting to develop very fancy digital products, but solution. But it's important to distribute it. And it's directly linked to the change management because, as Paul said, on it's very important to take care. I think it's Laurent who said something about staff motivation around healthcare provider. It's very difficult for sure for people very involved during the COVID epidemic to stay very focused on how to deploy, how to be trained around this digital solution. So for me, it's very important to give them very, operational guidelines to be sure that they are able to use it and to prescribe it to the patient. For example, one of my solution is to use Serious Game. So I built different Serious Game with healthcare professional and all the ecosystem to be sure that everyone can really understand how to change their process and the way they work daily with this all digital product. And so we need really to involve everyone, not only the medical doctor, for example, when we want to subscribe to prescribe a medical device, but also the assistant, all the people around it. And the third one is really the information system, because the information system is for sure all have a current situation that is not easy to manage. There's a problem around heterogeneity, multiplicity of standard and regulation, DAGA in Germany, DTAC in UK, convergence in France, for example, are very strong technical requirements that is very complicated for program manager like me to manage everything in one way. There's a highly fragmented market, and very different policymakers in Europe, for example, are promoting several digital programs. So really we need to focus all this interesting program in one way. Rigidity, we have a very obsolescent a lot of debt within information system currently in healthcare. So really we need to work with everyone on how to facilitate the exchanges of data between all these information systems. And the last point, very important within information system, is vulnerability. As you know, healthcare systems are the most attacked system, and especially in 2022, it doubled the number of cyber attacks. And it's really complicated for people who are want to develop this kind of digital solution. So everything needs really to be think from the very beginning within a very holistic approach to be sure that everyone can understand the stake of the situation. But yeah, so maybe we can pass to questions for the.
Okay, so good. Thank you, Clémentine, for this great presentation. I see in the public chat is going down. Is a lot of question, a lot of interaction between you panelists and the public in different questions in this very interesting topic. So I have a question for you, Patricia. I see you already answering the question from the public inside, but I have another question for you, Patricia. What will be the focus of the EU's healthcare transformation in 2023, Patricia? Thank you.
Yeah, so what we observe is due to both inflation, COVID, there is fatigue in the society. There's not enough budget, at least temporarily. So a lot of hospital, the stakeholder environment of healthcare, they're demanding things that can help them see direct result. So all kind of long-term initiatives, they're really not putting a lot of effort there. So think healthcare workers, not enough of them at the moment, or a lot of them quitting the space. loads of them retiring. Solution around that, whether with AI, blockchain, or whatever innovation you want to do in that space, it's being a lot demanded at this moment. But any mid-long-term initiative, no one wants to pay for it at this stage. And that would be my advice if there are anyone selling a solution or digital solution within the environment in the call. So big focus on healthcare workers shortage. And there was even a publication by the CEO of Philips yesterday, Eric Ondola, talking about it at the WEF and publishing around it.
Okay, thank you, Patricia, for this answer. I will have a question for you, Paul. Another question for you, Paul. When you talk about the value of a patient data, which are the important step before it has a value to you?
Yeah, because in essence, data can be valuable, but you should start at the beginning, meaning it should be structured. It makes no sense to just put it in your EMR, in your database. So it should be structured. And it should also be coded. So please use international standards for that. So there is an organization called FAIR, meaning that it will be accessible, it will be shareable, it will be usable for research, because it makes no sense to use your own coding. When you are doing that and you are supplying it to the world, for instance, via APIs, so they are more generic kind of connectors, then people can use the data and make their own visualization, because we humans need dashboarding. Dashboarding only makes sense when the source of the data is traceable, is hard. It makes no sense that, for instance, with the heart rate and with other patient vitals, that I'm going to mix my personal measurements with my non-MDR Apple Watch together with a device in the hospital, which is MDR compliant. So for me, those are the steps. And also the ethical part about sharing data. But the value is in sharing the data. It must not be traceable to an individual, but yeah, then you are adding value to the healthcare.
Great. Thank you for this answer, Paul. Very interesting. Now I will go with you, Clémentine. I have a question for you. When talking about referring the supply chain, what is the key elements for success?
Reframing the supply chain is very crucial, because it needs, like I said previously, to work on a new way for laboratories, for example, pharmacies, for IT people, for everyone to work differently and to produce and distribute differently their project and their solution. So concretely, I saw a question around blockchain. Blockchain can be a huge element to facilitate the communication, the clusterization, as we can say, within the Industry 4.0 concept. It's a way to be more agile, to facilitate the communication between all the actors, and also to work very carefully around, very sensitive data, like health data are very sensible, and it's important that we can be sure that everyone have confidentiality around his own data. So blockchain can be one of the best solutions, because everyone can decide if he wants to share or not his data.
Great. So I see some question on the public chat. I also see some answer. So I will pick one question during the public chat. In the public chat, sorry, one question. But I see that you already answered to a lot. So So let me take one question very quickly. One question from the public chat. We can go with. There is a lot of question actually. So I'm very sorry if I can't take all the question, of course. So I will go with the question of Yao. Does it make sense to follow a holistic, human-centric approach by bringing agriculture, food, and healthcare industries together? Woolfield to go with the answer. Who wants to go?
Yeah, I can go there. I'm going with
Okay.
this answer because
Yeah.
it's a really to deploy, like UN said, digital, One Health approach. I mean, like COVID, we know that human health is not sufficient. I mean, we need to focus also on environmental and animal health at the same time. So it means that all the solution for healthcare should take account of these three dimensions at the same time, because the health of animals like pangolin or I don't know, any animals can give us some disease that we can't face afterward. Pollution is one of the leading problems for health as well. So I mean, we need to develop digital product that can understand all these three dimensions.
I mean,
Great,
if I
thank
would,
you. Yes,
can
you
I
can
just
go,
add
Patricia.
quickly?
Yeah, sure.
We're in a universe, and just strengthening on what Clementine was saying. And within that universe, it's a human being. Think about it. We're all hearing about, the sun and all those planetary, but no one lives there. So what happens? The only thing we can do is observe it. Within Earth, the game changer is because there are individuals that become family structure, that become government, that become organization. So yes, we are starting to understand that this individual will be at the center, and everything around that individual will need to be managed so they can live longer, healthier, and better, and can contribute for the society to be, having the balance.
Great. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Clementine, also for your contribution. Now we are on time. It's fine. So I will give to you three great speakers today the possibility to give your conclusion. So I will start with you, Patricia, because you were the first going. So you have 1 or 2 minutes to conclude. Thank you.
I would say that we need all players that we can have in the sector, because there's a lot of work to be done. And I want to remind the people on the listening that the game needs to be played beyond the developed world. We need to have the inclusiveness of the developing world and leave no one behind. That's what UHC is all about. And then I want to finalize by answering the question of Anastasia: what's the biggest issue with delivering tech solution for healthcare companies? And she asked, is it budget prioritization or good quality delivery? I would say we just started. Let's accept that we are in the beginning of the new transformation, because like I showed you with evolution, we've transformed healthcare in the past. It's just that there are new tools that the industry of healthcare doesn't fully understand yet, is still trying to go through the change management. So let's be patient with our community in the industry, and let's all play our role so we can make the difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia, for your conclusion. Now I will go with you, Paul. Can you give me 1 or 2 minute conclusion? Give us. Thank you.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of questions that's always really good, and it's always important to look for what would be the message. Well, the message for me is really about, besides people, share your learning, share your insights. Why keep it to yourself? That is what needed. That is what is in Europe needed, what is in Africa needed. And that's what I see during the COVID, it happened. Then we were one big family, everything was shared. And then the book closed, even within the academic hospitals, even within the non-academic hospitals. But please share. It's the same with the development of AI. Why should I develop here an algorithm about a new sepsis protocol and keep it to myself? So please do that, because that is the essence, and that saves a lot of money, and that we can use to make it even better.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul, for this conclusion. Now, with you, Clémentine, can you give us 1 or 2 minute conclusion?
Yeah, sure. Like Paul said and Patricia said, I think the power of sharing is the key point for this transformation. Digital is just a tool. The importance is the transformation we want to make happen all together. So be human, put human at the center of your reflection from the very beginning. Digital is not the purpose. The purpose is to find a way for our humanity to live all together in peace and in a good health. So I mean, it's the main message for today.
Great. Thank you for this conclusion. So I will just give a few words about what have been said today. And I see, because now I'm running this alliance for 4 months now, and all the experts has the same. They talk about in the presentation about very technical things, but in the conclusion they come to the same point, that we have to be more inclusive, we have to share, and we also have to be human. So we all agree that now we can't be any more selfish. We need to share the data. We need to share the knowledge because we are in the same. Like Patricia was making a clue about that. We are on Earth. We are together in the same planet. So we will face the same problematic. You talk about, Patricia also talked about the borders, the fact that there is no more borders. Yeah, we saw that with the COVID-19. So we are on the same boat, and we need to work together to make it a better place. So I want to thank you very much, the speakers. You will be very, very professional. You helped me to arrange this webinar, and this is one of the most, I think, the most like efficient webinar I have done so far. Maybe because it's experience, but this is it was a very, very good webinar. I saw a lot of questions in the public chat. Everyone is going in the same direction, which is good, because we know now that we cannot be any more selfish. We need to go on the same direction together. So this was a very, very great webinar. So for now, it left only a few minutes. So in the name of EUTech, I want to thank also the public that attend today in this digital transformations webinar. We will have more webinar coming up. So you will be able to discuss with the speakers, with the panelists, and we also have, like I said, every networking event. So feel free to come join us. We are creating something now, and we will go forward to add more value to what we are doing, to be more concrete, because it's, like I said, it's great to have these talks, but how we put it in action and how we do that together, because we have a lot of experts coming up, and it will be useless if we can't take something very concrete from that. So I want to thank another time the speakers was very good. I will send you the 3 certificates about the fact that you attend to this webinar. It was a very good success. And I see you soon, y'all, because I know we will cross path again, because we are on the same boat, and we are facing the same challenges. So thank you, and see you next time, and bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Paul.
Please. Just before leaving, I didn't take the pictures. I forgot to take the pictures. Can you have one, please? Yeah, it's very important. Okay, let me take the picture. I will tell you when. In 2, 3, 1. No, just 1 second. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, let me take again. I made a mistake. Okay, so 2, 3, 1. Thank you again.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Freddy.
you as well. Thank you, guys. It was great. It was great exchange.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
You are currently the only person in this conference.